bouncing right where we thought it would. Let me turn the music down a little bit. Let me know if you can't hear me. Let's get the show on the road. Hope you all had a wonderful evening and weekend. I was out on my way home today and I turned a corner, hit a giant pothole, and popped my tire, and that delayed me quite a bit, so that's why I'm starting a little late tonight, so I apologize for that, but it's important for us to get prepared for the week. So I have my giant war list here of all the stocks that I think can do well during war times. Let's go ahead and share that with you guys. I'll drop that in YouTube as well as the Discord, so it'll be in announcements if you want to check it there. This is a added list, so I added stuff from last week, so if you just want to do the new one, that's fine. Tie. So it looks like we got a pretty good crowd tonight. If there's stuff you guys have to see, I'm going to try to get through the Twitter requests. Futures, if they lose this level, probably start doing the chart that I showed you over here. So this is what I tweeted back in this is the tweet that's pinned in my profile that I tweeted February 26th. So you can see we didn't quite tap the 200 days, so instead, you know, we basically did this, right? Oops. So we're still doing the same thing. So I still expect a bounce. You know, maybe we open and then we bounce back, but don't be fooled. Probably still going to go down, and it may not go through this exact price action. You know, it's so hard to predict the future. The big thing you have to understand is, in order for a healthy setup to reverse, so there's no guarantee that we reverse here too. I just figured that would make sense, right? If you were to combine Wyckoff and Elliott wave, both of them would come up with this result. And that's why I think this is a high probability wave, but we still need to pay attention to it day by day. Geopolitical tensions, inflation, all those things like that are going to be the reason why we need to be on our toes every week. Like, we can't just take a prediction that I made a month ago and then 2 months from go back and say, hey, nothing's changed. We should probably go off that last chart. No, you're going to have to update your chart as you go on, but it's supposed to be a potential roadmap that you make tweaks to as we go along. And so far, we've pretty much been spot on with the roadmap. So regardless if we gap down tonight, I mean, if you were to, I mean, we're already down 1.5%, 2% depending on what index you look at. But the big thing you have to understand is we're still below the most recent pivot. So the most recent pivot being right in here at 428.5. So as long as we remain behind that, this doesn't even have to go up. Like, this could accelerate this. So this could play out a lot faster. So you could even, like, you could say, like, maybe it does this, right? So maybe I had the timeline a little stretched and maybe it plays out a lot faster, and that's perfectly fine. That's, you know, trying to predict time is the hardest thing about doing accurate chart predictions. And there are ways you can do it, and we can go through some of those. I'm going to pull up my favorites here. You know, there's the fib circles, which can help you with time, so you go high to low, right? So maybe that says, you know, we start marking down here, and maybe the bottom is here, right? And you can also do, you know, a trend-based fib line, so maybe you go high to low right here to get ourselves some things. And you could see, if we, let's get rid of the circles, you know, this trend-based fib line worked pretty damn fucking good, right? You have the reversal here, you have a reversal here, you have a reversal here, you have a reversal here, and maybe, you know, maybe I have it a little off, so maybe we want it like right there. So maybe that expedites everything, and so maybe we move this over, right? So maybe that says by March 11th we hit bottom, and then the week of OPEX is the week that we start to reverse, and then after OPEX is when we get our actual reversal. I don't know until it plays out, but I do know that everything's looking like it's going to continue to go down. So the big thing you have to understand is the price action and levels are what's going to dictate the future. The future doesn't dictate the past dictates the future, and so we have to continue to monitor it week by week, day by day, and then just make little tweaks and minor things from there. But so far, the chart has been pretty accurate, so I'm not going to spend all night on it. Hopefully you guys understand it. If you want to go look at it in detail, I actually have multiple SPY charts I made that day with great detail. So I just always like to start out with futures. It's always a good segment. But if you could see here, let's say we pull up our drawing tool here, we pull out our marker, you can kind of see this overarching curve, right? So if you were to take your S tool, you could see you have a pretty good curve, right? So you have a pretty good curve on top. This is rounding action. You're most likely going to get something like this if we're going to have more downside. So pull out this again. You're going to get this rounding action down. You're going to get your double bottom. You're going to get your bounce. And then you're going to get your inverted cup and handle. Kind of like this one right here. So if you're looking like here, you're going to see this on a... This is a macro scale one. This is a micro scale one. So you're kind of looking for this on the micro scale, right? So if you were to take a bar repeater, if we were to just, see if this is similar. Let's go ahead and see if this is similar. We're gonna have to squish it down, obviously, but the idea is to see, is this similar? And it's going to be really squished down. So, I mean, nothing's ever a one-for-one. Remember that, too. But this would be something... Oh, hold on. This should be like this. And there you have it, folks. So... this is what I expect to happen, is basically a condensed version of what just happened. And so I expect this to come down some chop. Probably need to stretch this out a little bit more, but I mean, nothing's ever a one-for-one, but the price action is what you should be paying attention to. You guys don't like the music? You want me to switch it up? Sure. Never thought I'd hear the words. This is Ben Frost for those that do like it. The song is called Music for Sad Children. But since we're getting some complainers, we'll switch it up. I like to play ominous music when the market's doing crazy. So I'll throw this chart in the chat. You guys want that? Oh, you like the music? You're gonna love this song if you like the music I was just playing. Yeah, we can look at WTI oil futures if you guys want. I got no issues with that. Where is oil going? What's the ticker for oil futures? I'm having like a major brain fart. Is it US oil? The funny thing is, you saw like this cup and handle action going into the weekend, the CL. Ah, thank you. I'll turn the music down. It's gonna get really loud. All right. You know, sometimes trying to memorize all of the futures tickers. So it looks like a typical, this would look like what I would call a power earnings gap. So you have a cup, breakout, gap up. We most likely, alright, so gapped up 50% basically. Lower music a little more, sure. Alright. Hopefully that's good. This should be good background music. Hopefully this volume's good, but I love this song. It's one of my favorite instrumentals of all time. So if you guys like this song is called Who We Want to Be by Tom Day. Yeah, we're going to look at all these things. So all these are going to be on my list, so don't worry. So let's go in on the 15 minutes, see what the price action's been going today. So basically what you're doing constricting snake action, right? So it's basically making a flag, in other words. So getting yourself a nice little pennant going. And in reality, this could go either way. A pennant for me is always 50-50. But in this circumstance, it's likely it's more 50... more like 60 or 70-30 to the upside. Like the odds are oil's probably going to go higher and fill that wick, right? So the thing is, it gapped up so much, you're going to have some profit taking, you're going to have people trading it down. And the other reason is Canada. So the big thing with oil right now is we have an untapped resource in Canada. They have extra pipelines, extra resources ready to pump in oil to the US to ease the supply constraint. And the reality is that's a great fucking option, I hear. And why would we not help our friends to the north? Like, they help us, we help them. It's a win-win in my opinion. So, what's up, Tulkus? Let's make you blue. But the big thing is the oil is gonna get worse probably before it gets better, but it's not gonna last forever, right? There's gonna be easing of oil supplies. There's lots of countries that could open up more production. Saudi Arabia can launch more production. The US can ramp up production a fuck ton. Yes, Suncor, absolutely. I've been talking about Suncor. It was my #1 energy pick of the year. So if you guys read my investing newsletter, Suncor was my #1 investing newsletter pick of the year. And it's just a solid, like they have so much going for them that they're valued a little higher than I would like them to, but the forward prospects of Suncor are greater than most energy companies. Oxy is a really good one that can very much increase production, and it's got the backing of Warren Buffett buying $5 billion the last couple trading days. So yeah, really like energy right now. There's some that look better than others. I don't want to buy stuff that just gapped up 15%. I want to buy stuff that looks like this. So when you see this cupping action, this is when I want to get in. And this is why FCX in particular, I was watching on Friday, and I saw this, and this is going to be an absolute banger tomorrow. I know it is. And we got in this on the small account. And I looked at the setup. I was like, I can't not buy this. I have to buy this, right? Like, you got the cup, and then the handle is above the cup. Like, this is one of the most bullish setups I've ever seen. So I was like, I have to buy this. And this is probably going to go to like 55 tomorrow. It's going to go absolutely bonkers. Because not only that, FCX has something bigger that you need to see. So not only did it have, this is what makes it even cooler. So it has a larger cup retest and breakout with a consolidation there. So FCX is like the ultimate commodity stock. So not only does copper, gold, they also do other segments like oil and natural gas too. So they do refining, smelting, and all sorts of stuff. So they're... Yeah, here you go. Oil, gas, all sorts of stuff. So they do all the commodities. Everything that's... Everything that would benefit right now. That's why FCX has been under such a tear lately. Alright, we need... Alright, this will be a good mix to throw on. Hopefully you guys like violin music. So I loaded up a probably like $5,000 in this on Friday. One of the other things I loaded up like $5,000 in is SLV. SLV broke above the 200-day, is consolidating, looks really good. If we look at SI futures, I'm sure they're busting right now, up 1%. So, ooh, that actually, this thing broke out, came back, ooh, filled the gap. All right, that's good, that's good, that's good. This should be up quite nicely by the morning. Here's one that I've been talking about. I bought a relatively large amount of this over the weekend or on Friday, and really was playing it for pretty much all last week. So I gotta log into one of my accounts, see if I swung anything. Okay, good. I swung about $6,000 worth of Arch. So right now we're using TradingView, Matthew. So TradingView, yep, we'll look at Southern Copper. I want to show you something about Arch. This is what makes it so appealing. I paid fucking hand over fist for this too. Like, Arch is so expensive, the calls right now, because the IV is so high, because everything went through, and I was okay with it for one huge reason. The short interest on Arch right now is still 39%. So I believe what we saw right here was the beginning of a short squeeze, and I think this thing could easily, I don't want to put like a number on it, but I think this could easily go above 200 in, if I look correctly, coal futures were up like 13%, so I expect this to squeeze even harder. And so this is one of my #1 picks right now. But the biggest problem, like I said, is the IV on call options is just so astronomical that you get crushed if you're wrong. So it's a very high risk, high reward stock. So tread with your own safety in mind. And if it doesn't open up tomorrow, then that would be a good opportunity to get in. If it gaps up a ton, might be wait for a pullback if you wanted to get into that. But yeah, this thing is gonna just go bonkers. So we're gonna see a melt up in a lot of these shorted oil stocks. So if you can find an oil stock that is shorted, or any energy stock basically that is shorted, I'll try to put together a list tonight and tweet that out if you follow me on Twitter. But all the energy stocks that are shorted right now, I don't care which one, in percentages. all right, that's fair. So I have probably 6 or 7 trading accounts that I trade on. On my Lotto account, my Robinhood account, I have about $6,000 in there, and about a third of it is in Arch. On one of my TDA accounts, about half of it is on Arch, and those are the only 2 accounts that I have in Arch, because those are my, what I call my high risk accounts. With like my Aries account and my Webull account and my other TDA accounts, I don't have anything in it. I have more safe, longer term stocks, or safe energy stocks, I would call it. So like on Webull, I got into FCX, right? So that would be like my energy stock I got into. And that takes up about a third of that account. I'm very bullish on energy right now and all commodities. And so, yeah, CJ or CPA, you would know. So, you do my taxes. And so, yeah, I'm not going to lie. DK, the spreads on Arch are also very killer, and that is also one of the reasons why it's hard to play. But the risk reward for me, again, I paid above mid for it, and I was happy to it because I know in the end. And if you wanted to go shares, like, dude, this thing's still probably gonna go 20-30%. So if you didn't want to play Arch, play BTU. So the reason I liked Arch better was because it's shorted, but BTU is another coal stock out of Illinois, and I would say you could probably wait for a pullback on BTU, but BTU is going to squeeze like nothing else too. So you can already see this. So this was my newsletter play last week. This is what I told you to get into. You had just the most gorgeous setup last week. So right, so you had inverse head and shoulders, you had the cup and handle, you had the retest, and then the moonshot, right? So Ricky, a lot of people think they're short oil because they think it can't go too high because they're like, well, this war is going to end. Russia's going to open their oil reserves. No, this even if the war ends, we're not lifting our sanctions on Russia. It's done. Like, it's not going to go down from Russia. The only thing it would go down is if we open up more oil exploration and drilling and output. Canada opens up to us. Venezuela eases the oil sanctions. Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq oil output goes higher. It's not coming from Russia. So I think oil. So if you look at oil futures, I'm going to show you what I think is going to happen. So it's hard to really chart this because of the geopoliticalness of it, but I was watching and reading all of the different guesstimations, and you see almost everyone thinks oil is going to go to that 160 to 180 spot. So I saw high estimates of $210 a barrel. For me, this is getting squeezed like no other. So what we're starting to see here are parabolic steps. So this should be about the third step. We should see two more. So if we were to just draw boxes, right? So this would be step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and then you're going to see a doubling from this area right here. So usually from step 3 to step 5 is where you get your doubling, 3, 4, 5. So I mean, I don't even want to really put a guesstimation on it because news is so effective with oil. It makes charting commodities harder, but we're definitely in an impulsive squeeze up. So hold on one second. Sorry, I'm just a daughter checking her out. So let's get into it. Instead of talking about oil all night, let's get into the stocks that I want to talk about. So how do we make money off of this besides just playing oil, right? So commodities, things like that. So I looked at a bunch of them over the weekend. There's definitely ones that I really like. You can see a lot of them ran really hard. This is one that hasn't run hard that I think is being slept on. So ALB is a lithium processor. They supply Tesla and things. I saw this over the weekend and I was like, wow, like this could be the next, you know, this reverses. This could be a really nice run, right? So it did have a head and shoulders retest, came down. So I got this one on watch. This one and LAC are my two lithium stocks I'm watching. So ALB. Yeah, if you don't think we're in a recession already, you're just in You're just naive. I think we're already in one. So I think we're already in a recession. I think we're already in a bear market. How long? I mean, how low does it have to go? How many times did it have to reject a downtrend for you to admit it? So LAC is about to downtrend into the 200-day, and that's why I wanna keep this one on watch. Right, lithium is not going away. Only going to be coming more demand, but the thing is, this ran too hard, too fast the first time, but now it is getting the correction it needed right into support. So watch this for a bounce and breakout. So if you see the downtrend, set an alert on that, kind of like this, and that way you get your alert on that. But all right. So a lot of these, like I said, already ran really hard, but some of them are still setting up for some nice setups, right? So like Andy, our agricultural, wheat and corn, things like that. Volume's going down, but wheat and corn's still going up, so you're probably going to still see some breakouts on these. And these are all going to gap up. If you didn't swing these, unfortunately, going to be hard. Arch, I talked about. ATI, this is one that actually has kind of a bearish setup. So you're getting your left shoulder, your head, your right shoulder. But, you know, this is a steel one. Steel might see a small pullback. We'll have to see. BG is a chemical processor, fertilizer, things like that. So this has run really hard lately. Kind of looks like a diamond top. We'll have to see. I believe there's going to be a squeeze. My screen went blurry. Let me change my internet source here real quick. Well, if that fixed it. Is my screen still blurry? We still blurry or are we good now? We good? Alright, cool. Sorry about that, guys. So, you know, I gotta get a hardwire. Sometimes the Wi-Fi gets a little patchy here. I think we're expecting a big snowstorm tonight, so... Alright, moseying on. BNO and Boyle should be up tomorrow. I expect BTU to go up. So I saw uranium and I saw uranium was actually down the futures on it. So I think the whole nuclear stuff going on with the reactors over there is scaring uranium investors. I do have uranium calls for quite a bit out, so I do have some March 18th UUUU calls. Those are kind of expecting a bounce back there, yeah, quad U, and so hopefully those play out. If not, I'm not gonna get too upset. I only have a couple $100 on that. So CMC is a steel stock I've been watching. To be honest, though, there's one that looks super good. Nucor. I mean, X is one that I like, but the one that looks the best to me right now is Nucor. It's got this nice rounding bottom. Had really nice buying volume into the end of Friday. So I almost bought Nucor calls, but I went with FCX instead, and I'm actually happy I did that. But how do I determine where everything is a buy zone? I mean, basically a pivot zone is just something where it's tested the supply and made a lot of rejections. So, you know, this pivot, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4 rejections. You can see when it got over to completely rejected it. So this is a level I'm looking at. So what I'm looking for is a green full-bodied bar to close above this. and then I would go there. Yeah, you do see inverse head and shoulders there, don't you? So yeah, this looks nice. So you have consolidation period, breakout, retest, and then a flag. So new core looks really good for continuation, and the fundamentals say it can continue to go. So we'll have to see. Oxy is one that we're going to talk about. Almost got into this on Friday. So the last 3 days have been just crazy buying. This last day in particular, I'm pretty sure this was just Warren Buffett just buying just absolute fuck ton of it. So, I mean, look at the volume on it. I don't expect this to go down. It should continue to go up. You're just going to kind of see a melt up on all these oil stocks and the gold stocks too. So this is Royal Gold. This was my newsletter pick last week. We got in around, what was it? Around 120. So that ran a nice $8 last week. SBSW, this is one that we were talking about. We played. We actually took a slight profit on this. Could have been a little bit more profitable, but this is a drilling precious metals. Particularly, I like this one for platinum and palladium, and so this is one I was looking at for that. You know, they do copper and gold as well, but particularly I wanted this one for exposure to platinum and palladium. I think in terms of miners, you're going to be looking at why am I drawing a blank on Mercury? No, not Mercury. Nickel. Find yourself a good nickel miner, and that's a stock that you're going to want to long because it's going to go absolutely bonkers tomorrow. So SBSW is a nickel stock, MTRN, NIC, CNC, BHP, RRR, second MTRN. Oh, that's gross. Can't even invest in that one. Vale, of course, Vale. And you can see Vale's been on a tear. Oh my goodness, the thing's been on a tear. I have to do some more investigating in the nickel, but yeah, Vale's awesome. And Vale's just going to continue going nuts. This thing should break recent highs soon. Yeah, that thing's easily going to 21, if not 25. So Southern Copper, that's one that we got in around 67. I got out around 74, 50, 75 after it struggled a little in this area. It did continue and it ran really hard. It filled that gap, obviously, right here. I would expect a slight pullback, but with the way metals are going, maybe not. Maybe it just continues to melt up. And so logic says that you know, pullback would be logical, but it's still in a straight line up, and so until it starts to curl over, I mean, it's just straight up. So might even be going to 84 next week. We'll see. So I was asked about fertilizer companies, right? And while this isn't like an industrial fertilizer company, Scott's Miracle-Gro, that doesn't mean that they can't get into it to alleviate sales and things like that. So, you know, their sales have been going the wrong way, but, you know, their lawn and garden care. But if they started to get into, say, larger brands, but I do like the setup on it. It could see a sympathy run with the overarching potash and fertilizer chemical companies. I do like that it's got kind of an inverse head and shoulders on it. So potentially maybe this bounces up and sees a 200-day. But the other one I saw was LXU. This is a traditional, more traditional fertilizer one. We saw some nice sell-off, so this could be a buying opportunity here. I'm just not huge into like the fertilizer ones, but was asked to look into some of them, so look into it I did. I believe CMP the other one I was looking at. Yes, CMP was the other one I saw that had a nice setup. Yeah, I wouldn't even look at any tech stocks. Like, just throw them out. Stop looking at them. It's a waste of time. I haven't looked at a tech stock in probably a month. So, that should tell you how I feel about tech stocks. So, this probably has the best setup of all the fertilizer, nutrient type companies, things like that. So I really like this one. You can see this last earnings, it got destroyed, but the November earnings was before everything that just happened. So that means their earnings are about to explode. So I could easily see this gap fill being closed up to 71, which provides us a really good opportunity. So I don't want to short tech stocks. You can if you want. The problem is I don't know if institutions are going to look at tech stocks and be buying them here. So while they may go down, they may not go down as much as I want. So I like to play the upside on this because I see a lot of these commodity and oil stocks getting squeezed. I'd rather just short some of the index in ETFs. Then you get exposure to everything. Because if you want to short, say, Microsoft or Facebook, you don't know if a large institution wants to load up cheap shares. They might pin that stock and it doesn't melt like the market does. So if you're overall bearish on the market, just short the market. You don't short necessarily a stock unless you see, find your most overvalued tech stock. Go find the one with the highest PE ratio, or the declining sales, and go short that, right? So this was one I was looking at. Oh, what was the one that we were playing? I forget which one. We shorted a tech stock like a week ago that had like an 800 PE ratio. And I was like, if I'm going to short a tech stock, I'm going to short one that's fundamentals makes sense to short, right? Silver calls look amazing. So, CMP looks really good. I really like this one. This should retest the 200-day. That's what this blue line is, by the way. The 200-day simple moving average. I could easily see this. We could just throw some pivots up here real quick. This should give us some levels to target. So you can see here it looks like we have a 1, 2, 3, 4 at least here. So that could give us a wave 5 target. Looks like we have a wave 5 target of 65. So you should see a breakout here this weekend, a dividend, probably 65 there. Then you're going to get probably, your ABC and more continuation into another, whoops. So you see more continuation, right? So this could be something that you see there. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't look at the options change. I was just looking at this. So maybe this is one you could play with shares, but all right, we'll move on. I'm spending time on one that you can't really play that much in terms of options. So all right, let's look at some of the requests on Twitter that we had. Let me pull up that tweet and see what people wanted me to look at. So, solar stocks. So, one of the things that is interesting about solar, so if there's a conspiracy theory that everything that's happened the last couple of years and continuing to happen is to basically expedite the process of switching the world to green energy. And I don't know how much I believe in it, but the fact of the matter is it's a little hard to ignore. Maybe it's not a conspiracy theory, but it is kind of one of those things where if everyone wants to be energy independent, but they don't have great fossil fuel resources, then wind and solar, geothermal, hydroelectric are going to be the alternatives. So if you want to look into solar stocks could see a huge benefit from the Russia-Ukraine and basically everything that's happened with oil and energy. So, I mean, the instability of fossil fuels over the last 3 years and the wild fluctuations makes it interesting if we're going to continue to go through that in the future. And basically, you're seeing huge pushes in green energy, right? Electric cars are becoming more popular. Solar roof panels, wind turbines, you know, the GE wind turbines, wind turbine farms on the sea. All of these things are becoming more and more popular. And if they can increase the output of solar panels could become huge. And First Solar is a stock that is very profitable and I really like, and they've gone through a huge correction lately, and you can see basically you're starting to see a higher lows for the first time. So nuclear is getting left behind. I really like nuclear, but nuclear is very scary in times of geopolitical unrest because you're seeing it in Ukraine. This is the first time we've really seen a country with nuclear power plants come under attack, and this is going to set the tone for nuclear power across the globe. What happens if there's not many there's not many companies with nuclear power plants that don't have nuclear weapons either. So that also, I guess, is a unique situation. So I'm curious to see how that plays out. But what I'd like to see on First Solar is I think it's going to go ahead and fill the gap up here into this downtrend resistance at 75. That gives us a good short-term target, right? So maybe you see something like that, Monday. I think this would happen tomorrow, most likely. And if that breaks out, if it could get through that, maybe you see that, a quick retest, and then this thing starts springboarding up, right? Something like that. So I really like this level on First Solar. Another one that came to my attention was Renault Sola. This is one that continues to get undervalued and has been kind of in a chop zone forever. So this is accumulation, right? So we're looking for a major breakout. So you get your down thrust selling volume, you get your initial selling climax here, your second selling climax here. You can tell this by the volume. And then basically, you're getting your first push, and then you get your thrust down, and then this is where your springboard is. So you got your springboard, you got increased average volume around here, and now we're getting the retest, and so this will be your show of strength here that we're looking for. So the show of strength is going to be volume supported push up above the 200 day, and then once you get above the 200 day, you're going to see some consolidation, and then you're going to get your up thrust. So I really like solar right now. I think it can be a really good option, but there's just so many different things right now you could play. So again, if you don't have this list, add this list to your trading view. It's pinned to the chat right now. Just click it and you can save it for yourself. So I mean, if you saw what I tweeted on Bitcoin, shoot, I gotta see the format I had on that. Oh, okay, so that was this. So I tweeted a Bitcoin chart out this weekend, right? I said pretty much no matter what, it was right when we were at 3,900. So pretty much no matter what, we're going down to start with. But I want to explain this for those that followed my Bitcoin Twitter explanation. So you're either going to see a period of accumulation and then kind of a rounding bottom up, and that's going to be your key. Are we going to get this rounding action? This is called the river. So are you going to get the river action right here? You know, regardless if it's an inverse head and shoulders at all. I just want to see a slowdown of volatility and then a rounding action. So slowdown of volatility and a rounding action. And that's what you see right here. So this is a slowdown of volatility. This is textbook accumulation right here. So you get volatility, down thrust, buying, and then a slowdown of volatility, and then a huge up thrust, right? And that's what I like to see. And I'm hoping we see the same thing here, but if we don't, then we're just in a we're in an extended markdown phase, and this thing's coming down, down, down. So we'll have to see how that plays out. So back to Twitter. Let's see. Alright, so I went through a lot of the ones I wanted to cover. Let's see the ones you wanted to cover. I saw a request for NEM. Let's check out NEM. So NEM has gone bonkers lately, right? So it's about to hit this uptrend right here. Normally, things don't bounce through right away. You know, you can see here, this example is you're going to get a breakout and retest. And this one did go through when it came back down. But over here, you can see it had a small breakthrough come down. So what you're probably going to look for is continuation on the open tomorrow. So you're probably going to have like a gap up. And then it's going to come down. And then it's going to springboard up like that, right? Or maybe the violent action isn't that violent, but maybe it's more something like that, right? So it's going to gap up green. It's going to go red. Maybe by the end of the day, don't get discouraged if this starts out super green tomorrow and by the end of the day is red, because we have dividend as well. So buy the dip on the dividend, because it's probably going to continue to go up after that, right? And maybe it doesn't go up that much, but regardless, it's probably going to go up off of the weekend up thrust, right? And then we're going to see a lot of profit taking tomorrow, and then it's going to have dividend, and you're going to have a nice little buying opportunity. And if that gets bought up on open the next day, that's when you know you got yourself a nice opportunity, right? So just give me 1 second. Himix is a Taiwan semiconductor, so I'm a little concerned about that, especially with China potentially invading Taiwan. I think that's the risk with Himix. I was bullish on it for a very long time. I still am. I still like it. I mean, fundamentally, it's great. It's just not getting love right now, and so I'm gonna wait for this thing to get above the 200-day, close above the 200-day, and then I'll play it. But right now, it's just, I can't until we get some better news in the semiconductor area. And so I'm going to wait off on that one. But, yeah. Ty, you want me to look at some of those? I do want to look at KHC. So this is one I really like the setup on. I almost bought it on Friday, to be honest with you. I saw it and I was like, God, that looks gorgeous, right? So we kind of got a fucked up cup and handle. And we got dividend coming up, right? So it usually runs right into dividend almost every time. And then kind of sells off, right? And then you get yourself a buying opportunity. So you usually see a run into dividend. I think you're going to get that again here. So what you're probably going to get, you know, if we throw the dividend up here. It's got your dividend there. So you're probably going to see... I honestly think you get a melt up into the dividend. Could look... Could run to here. Could run to here. So I think we'll go conservative and say 41.50. And then what you're going to see is, you know, mark down off of dividend. And then maybe some consolidation and then continuation. Right? So we'll have to see how that plays out. But I think Kraft Heinz finally get their shit together after their illegal bookkeeping fiasco. They're actually making good money. Everything they're doing is right. So we'll have to see how that plays out. I don't have great thoughts on Matador right now. It's a good price to go long on. I really like it in the long term. I'm just wondering if you can get a better price in a month from now. I think that's the thing. I think you could start scaling into Matador or Matterport, not Matador, Matterport, MTTR. I think you could start scaling in right now and be okay with it and then just add on dips. Or you could start the wheel. I think this is a great part to maybe sell some $5 puts on it. And if you get $5 cash secured puts, so you start the wheel on it. If you get filled at $5, you great $5 average on Matterport. It's going to be phenomenal. And then you start selling covered calls, right? And you just start the wheel on it. So, Jared, I love Zim. I love shipping. Still do. So, Zim is my one of my number one picks of the year. The long, I've been talking about this since 45. It just looks gorgeous. I will absolutely be playing earnings this week. I have never seen a more bullish setup into earnings. So whenever I see this shit like this, where you get your rounding action into earnings, it's probably going to close about 75. The earnings on this are going to be bonkers good. And they're going to announce some crazy dividend or buybacks or something. Most likely a crazy dividend. It's already got a 14% dividend, but this thing is going to be bonkers. And this is easily a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this could complete the wave 5 that we're about to see. And I would say easily put this between 80 and 90 behind by the end of the week. So 80 to 90 is my goal this week. I think that is very possible with earnings. Keep in mind, last time it gapped up and then immediately filled the gap. And same thing, gapped up. It has gapped up every earnings, but has always filled the gap after. So just keep that in mind. This could be the one that is the final believer and we break away. I don't know. But I will absolutely probably drop at least a couple $1,000s on this earnings. This is one I've been waiting for months on. And I would always regret if I did. I don't care if I lose the money. I'm playing earnings. I have a high confidence in it. It's one of my most high confidence here. And so, Jared, if you want to know, just go to earningswhisper.com and just type the ticker in. But it should be looks like it's either 8th aftermarket or 9th pre-market. So it looks like it's March 9th pre-market potentially. Here, 1 second, I'll look for you real quick. Actually, now you got me curious. I do this. It is Wednesday pre-market. So, Wednesday pre-market. I'm looking here real quick at some of these stocks here. See if there's any other ones that interest me in terms of earnings this week. Blink Thursday, JD.com. Thursday. I mean, it's basically the week of Chinese earnings. So you do have Petco and Dick's Sporting Goods on Tuesday before market. I'll be charting those out tomorrow. I might play one of those. Other than that, Tuesday night I'll be swinging Zim calls. You do have Bumble, Mongo, and Stitch Fix. Nothing else is jumping out at me there. Thor. Ooh, Thor could be interesting. Wednesday, you got Asana and CrowdStrike. Asana is heavily shorted right now, so that's very interesting. So the funny thing about Asana is it's heavily shorted, yet the CEO continues to pile up shares. So you got the mix of those two going on. Be curious to see who wins that. Let's see. You got Rivian on Thursday after market. You got DocuSign, Ulta Beauty, all of those people. So what's going on, Danny? So you got a lot of things going on here that are interesting this week, but Jared, they're an overseas company, so while it says PM earnings, it's probably more like midnight because it's an Israeli company. So for me, I'm probably going to play March 18th for liquidity on Zim, and the fact that I'm probably just going to want to hold Zim through it. So even if it falls, I might even get April. I'm not sure. It's going to depend on the price difference. I haven't compared contracts yet, but if the price difference isn't too much between March 18th and April 14th, I'll probably go with April because this is one that I wanted to long all year. I might even sell cash secured puts because I'm going to get a great entry for some long-term shares, and I really like potentially running the wheel on that because you could potentially do cash secured puts. Let's say it gaps down, you get filled on those cash secured puts at 50, or not say 50. So let's say you sell like some 65s, right? So 65, you sell some puts there. You're like, there's no way. It's got ultimate support at 65.60. Really good support at 64.50, 65. So you're going to do the 65 puts for the weeklies. Potentially, you do cash secured 65 puts. You sell those. So if it goes below 65, you get those exercised. You now own 100 shares at 65. Cool, right? So if you sell those for a couple bucks, your cost average is more like 62, 63. And so then what you're doing is you start selling covered calls. So maybe for the next week you sell a 70 or a 75, right? So maybe you sell 75 because that's been the resistance. So maybe you sell some March 18th 75s. You have yourself wonderful upside, and so on and so forth. So let's say it hits 75 and your calls get exercised, so then your shares get taken away at $75. Well, you still just made $13 a share. You know, that's 20% in 2 weeks. That's still really good. This is a safe way to play this, but a smart way to play this. So if you have a large account and you want to play this with a large amount of money, that's what you would do. If you have a small account and you want to play this, you could do spreads for March 18th, April 14th, things like that. So let me look at Asan. I'm actually kind of curious what this looks like recently. I have looked at this. I have played Asan this year. I do like Asan. My company uses Asan. We really like the product. It's a great product for bringing teams together in a virtual space. So if I were to buy it, I really like this price level. This would be curious because they always beat earnings, but they don't make money, right? So I would love to see it bounce here for me to be bullish on it. But if it doesn't, it's probably coming down to 34, right? Let's be honest with us. This is the next real major support level, so it might gap down to 34. This is expected to be their worst earnings to date. They've always beaten earnings, though. Let me see what their financials look like. So this is kind of what we call a COVID stock, right? It benefited a lot from COVID. It's faded off, and it's gotten the Zoom treatment. It's gotten the DocuSign treatment. So if you look at Zoom, if you look at Docu, a lot of these look very similar, right? Oh, this is Docu, where they just have gotten eviscerated, and Asan has not been able to escape that as well. So this did see a really nice run from 40 up to 75. We played this run, but now it came all the way back down. So I don't know if I'm probably not going to play it, but I am going to pay attention to it, because depending on how their earnings does, you will see continuation. So if it's a really good earnings and they have really good results with really good guidance, now we have ourselves a reason to go long on it. So what the fuck? Hold on a second. Apparently I'm getting spammed. Jesus. Chris. He's like, hey, what's going on? AA is absolutely a wonderful stock. The problem is it's just straight vertical right now. So this thing is getting just parabolic steps, right? So one after another, up, up, up. This is because aluminum has been just going crazy. So wait for a consolidation on this. It's got dividend tomorrow, so it might gap down to 86, and maybe from there you can go long, right? So if it gaps down, that's what your cue is. Alright, I want to finish up the ticket request on Twitter. People ask me on there. A lot of them on there. Looked at BP, BTU. I didn't look at BP, I looked at BG. BP, British Petroleum, obviously, energy company. Just tapped the 200-day. So the problem you're looking at with these energy companies is how many of them had Russian deals, and I don't know for certain. I know a bunch of them did. I know like Shell. I feel like BG did. I have to look. I don't want to tell you guys something wrong, so I'm not going to say whether it's right or wrong. I do know that it just tapped the 200-day. BP does have Russia exposure. Thank you, Warren. Okay, that's what I wanted to know, and that's why this hasn't been getting love, right? It's all these that had. It's all their Gazprom and Russian energy exposure. So I'm pretty sure PSX has the same thing, because it looks very similar to BP, right? One thing about PSX is Philip Morris, or Philip 66, is it does have this nice head and shoulders, this nice rounding action, right? So this is one I was looking at, and I was like, what energy companies can you even go in? What energy companies can even go in that haven't run a ton? So this is one that I'm going to watch. I'm actually going to add it to my list. Because if this breaks out above my pivot zone, I definitely want to pay attention to this, because this could run, you know, 10, 15 bucks on a good week. So pay attention to PSX. Put that on your list. Yeah, Suncor, obviously with the Canadian news, has a really bullish setup. You know, it's breaking out of this channel that it's been in all year. So watch Suncor for a break over 31.69. Yeah. And from there, this thing could easily run to its recent highs of 34. And from there, I mean, I think this thing could even go and top all-time highs. I'm pretty sure this will eventually top all-time highs this year of 42. I think those are all-time highs. Let me just take a look. Oh, never mind. I apologize. All-time high is 75. So, yeah, I know Kane was mentioned on my Twitter. Obviously, the Sugar Fund ETF. So, this thing looks really good. And it looks just like a lot of commodity stocks, right? So, if you were to look at corn, if you were to look at wheat, they're just rotating them one after another. Wheat got a major squeeze last week, right? So it also sold off too. So Kane on the hourly. So Kane has been exploding lately. Sugar, I don't think Russia has a lot to deal with sugar. I think this is just an inflation squeeze. So how is it possible for them to run to 75? I mean, if they start selling to the U.S. in troves, they're going to double their earnings, which would make sense for the stock to double, right? So if U.S. starts buying shit tons of Canadian oil, and Canadian oil keeps getting more and more expensive, their profit margins are going to go through the roof. Thus, they're going to raise dividends, do buybacks, all sorts of things to make it attractive to investors where they're going to get a good roach, right? So, return on capital invested. So, I really like Suncor. Suncor also has one of the best synthetic oil technologies where they could potentially get their break even on oil. I think their break even on oil right now is one of the best in the industries. I want to say it's like in the high 30s, low 40s, but they think they can get it down in the 20s. So as long as oil stays above, I think $28 a share in the future, they will always be profitable, which for an investor is very attractive for an energy company when their break even is so low on oil. So for instance, take Occidental Petroleum, for instance. Occidental Petroleum's break even is like 60. So because they have such high debt in their Anadarko acquisition, and because they have to pay Warren Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway 9% dividend, I think it was originally 8%. Because they paid them in shares, it went up to like 9.5%. So they have to pay them an annual, $250 million just in dividends to Berkshire Hathaway. Their break even is a lot higher because they didn't set themselves up for it, but they can make tons and tons of money because they have such high production. So as long as oil stays, if it stays in the hundreds of all year, they're going to make so much money that they're going to pay their debt down and potentially be able to right the ship. So with all the naysayers on Occidental Petroleum, I mean, imagine you're getting in at $8 on this thing. Like, that was such a good bet if you did that. Because when oil was like $40 a barrel, they're losing F tons of money, right? So if you were to go back through their financials, like, there was a time where they were losing just tons of money, and they had to do share offerings and dilutions, and it didn't look great. But now things look amazing, and we'll have to see. So yes, Frank, he does have oxy warrants. They're actually they're 62.50, but I believe they got knocked down because they got paid their like back when in 2020, 2019 in this area, Occidental Petroleum could not pay the dividend in cash to Warren Buffett, so they had to do it in shares, which triggered a clause which meant not only did their dividend payment go up, but they also, I think, their warrants dropped. So yes, very interesting on Occidental Petroleum. So if you wanted oil exposure, just go XLE If you want expiration, go XOP. Doesn't matter. Just honestly, if you took a bucket, threw all the energy stocks in there, and just picked one out, you'd probably make money on it, right? So alright, let's see what else we got here. So TSM, I know everyone wants to short TSM. Obviously has the distribution top, right? Had the breakdown, the retest, the rejection. Looks terrible. You know, probably coming down to 94 at least, right? Filling that gap. I have a lot of people saying it's going to come down to 84. I even have some people saying it's going to come down to 68. So I'm not positive it's going to do that yet. I think, yes, there's more downside. But people don't understand that TSM is fucking extremely profitable. And they're one of the largest chip producers in the world. And so much goes through them. You know, their price to earnings is 29. Not terrible. So they still could have 30% downside to become more in line with a lot of the other, you know, for a tech stock, forward growth stock, 29 is really good in my opinion. I think 20 is healthier. So yes, if they came down a third, that 68 is certainly possible, and they would still have a pretty good PE ratio there around 20, right? And at there, I highly doubt, even if it came down to say 60, I highly doubt many institutions would hesitate going long on it. If it came down to 60, you could probably put your life savings on it and make a ton of money, in my opinion. But that's just my personal opinion on it. You guys do what you want. So full disclosure, I do have a long-term position in Intel. I like Intel a lot. I think they get a bad rap, but you know, people think about the future. They think Intel, put my house on it. Yeah, that's my phrase I use. Put your house on it, right? That's where you take out your HELOC, your mortgage, and you put your house on it because you know it's going to pay you back faster than you pay interest. But like I said, that is what I will do. What you do is up to you. I'm obviously just an entertainer on YouTube. You got to make your own decisions. So Intel has been green. So the big thing about Intel is if the Semiconductor Act gets passed, Intel gets so much fucking money from the government. Like, I believe they're the #1 benefactor from the government. I believe Samsung and TSM would also benefit for building factories in the United States. But Intel is a United States company, and they are definitely going to get way more money than the foreign companies. Believe me when I tell you, they will get so much money. And the fact that they had the CEO of Intel at his State of the Union speech and talked to him, he literally mentioned Intel in the State of the Union speech about how Intel's going to build a $20 billion campus, and if the government passed the bill, they would up it to $100 billion, making it the largest semiconductor campus in the world in Ohio. Like, this is such, it blows my mind. Like, yeah, who wants to go live in Ohio and build semiconductors? Because all the jobs are going to be 6-figure jobs. Like, I really like it. I love the idea of it. Let's turn the Rust Belt into the Tech Belt. I love the idea of bringing Midwest jobs back. I'm a Midwest guy myself. So I love the Midwest. I love the culture. I love the people. So for me, let's not give more money to California. Let's bring it back to the Midwest. I really like the idea. That's my personal opinion. So I think we need to do it. I think we need to get off of foreign off of foreign dependency on semiconductors, because semiconductors are going to be here forever, right? They're going to be the core of the future of everything we do. Everything's going to have a computer chip in it in the future. Probably humans are going to have computer chips in their brain at some point. It's the next step, right? So, yes, I really like nothing like sunsets over cornfields. That's right. Alright, Arlie wanted me to look at, what is EN? Oh, I haven't heard of that one. ELC. Oh, midstream. Okay, here we go. Oh, look at that. Nice clean breakout. This looks like a ET type stock. Yeah, earnings have been getting better and better. Oil gas pipeline. I don't know enough about the inner workings where they're located and things like that to have a really good discussion on it, and so I don't want to say much other than it looks really good. I probably expect it to consolidate above this downtrend and then break out. And so what you're probably going to get is, this is what's called a bump and run. So it breaks out of the channel, and then eventually it's going to come back down to earth, right? This is actually what SPY is doing right now, is it broke above the channel and now it's coming back down to earth. You guys want to see a fun SPY chart? If you take SPY, throw it on the weekly, and just take a line back from 2008, right? The last crash. Do that. There's your mean, right? So here's your channel. So there's your channel that you're in. So this is what's called a bump and run below and reversal up. Now we have a bump and run above. So I think it's going to happen, and this is what I've been calling for. So you're going to get that retest of this line eventually. So I think 400 makes sense. I think you have this gap right here. So maybe it's over here. I don't know. But I think we're going to see that retest there. Maybe come down to the shelf right here. So you're going to see a break below to 390, 389. And then that from there we could start. Like, I honestly think this whole year, and maybe even next year, is just going to be a giant cup on SPY, right? And I don't think that's going to be the end of it. I think it could get really bad for the stock market for quite a while. I could be absolutely wrong, but I think we end the year around where we start, and then we sell off again. And then we do it all over again, song and dance. And this is going to be the next couple years. It's just, we're going to be range bound between 4 and 500, in my opinion. But we'll see. Ah, it's back. How do these people find me? I thought the bots were on Discord. Now they're on YouTube too. Ridiculous. Through my cookies? Are they tracking my porn appetites? Alright, let's look at futures one more time. We'll wrap this up here soon. Went a little longer than anticipated. Let's get a banger song for the end of this. Alright, what song? If I was going to pick one song. Man, some of these thumbnails that of the music videos are getting ridiculous. What is a good song? Actually, this song kind of sums up how I feel about futures. We'll turn it up a little. Hopefully it's not too loud for you. Alright, so let's look at futures on the 5 minutes, see if we can get some price action figured out here. Let's get rid of this fractal, we don't need that. Actually, it's not, you know. So yeah, we're probably going to most likely retest this pivot tonight. I see no reason to. We wouldn't. Well, I imagine we'll retest that, kind of come back, and from there we'll see. But that should take us into the morning. Probably be down about 1% going into the morning. We'll see what Europe does overnight, but I imagine Europe's not going to do great, so that should break us down more. You know, you get your Euro open in an hour, so probably retest this into Euro open, and then we might get a meltdown into there. So see how commodities are doing right now. I'm just going to pull up my commodity futures here. Still going nuts. I mean, you got shit. Brent oil's at 130, crude oil's at 126. Oh wow, dude! London gas oil's up 14 fucking percent. Nickel's up 12%. Copper's up 4%. Zinc's up 5%. Aluminum's up 5%. Yeah, everything that makes stuff is going to be. All the minerals and commodity stocks are going to be absolutely crazy tomorrow. So we'll be happy. The people that swung mining stocks and oil stocks will be very happy. The rest of you that swung puts on the market will be very happy. Other than that, if you swung cash, you're always happy when you swing cash, right? Because there's always going to be an opportunity. So let's keep that in mind. Always going to be an opportunity. Oh, how did she get back again? What are, oh, these numbers? Oh, I guess because it's futures. This is just called the tape. These are the buys and sells. So, yeah, the reason I haven't talked about, like, a lot of banks lately is mainly because Russia was seen as a growth market, and a lot of these banks had invested a ton in it, and so I've been taking a back seat to there. A lot of them are pulling out, damage is being done, and they'll be fine in the long run, right? But I just wanted to take a back step from banks until there's actually a reason to go long in them. I think you could start loading around these levels if you wanted to get an early entry, but I haven't seen evidence that they've reversed yet, and I want to see evidence that they reverse. So I think people are starting to try to figure out a reason to go into Tesla. I don't have a good reason. It keeps going lower, and so until it alright, I guess if you wanted to force a bullish argument here, and you could make this argument, right? So you could make an argument that it had a higher high, a lower low, and then a higher low, right? So you could make the argument that they're a solar stock EV. They should benefit from us getting off of gas and electric, or gas and oil, right? So there are arguments for it. I saw a lot of bullish articles this weekend for Tesla. I just hate their evaluation. I hate that all of their way they make money is inflated because they sell, you know, a lot of their money was inflated through Bitcoin recently, which is going to get annihilated in the future, and they sell energy credits for being green, right? So they sell their credits to companies that really suck for the environment. So that's how they make money. They don't actually make a ton of money off the product. They make their money off of energy tax credits and things like that. So it does kind of have the makeups of an accumulation phase here. So it is kind of doing what I would call a river phase here. So maybe it is starting to reverse. And I believe if I were to pull up my Tesla prediction from the beginning of the year, this is where I started to have it do that. So this is what I tweeted out on January 14th. So I tweeted out back here. I deleted the stuff that already happened, but you know, the price action, I said I thought it would come down more and accumulate and then eventually start to turn it around, but we'll have to see how it plays out. I still think there's more downside. I don't love it. I still think it's making a bear flag under resistance, but people love to buy it. The problem is there's just not a lot of institutions buying it anymore. So alright, that's going to do it for me tonight. Appreciate all of you that stayed through it. If you enjoyed the video, throw me a like. That's all I ask. If you want to subscribe and turn notifications on, that's up to you. But I just want to see that you had a good time. You enjoyed it. You kind of found some of the information I threw out there useful. Hopefully the watch list I provided you helps you this week. Hopefully we all make money this week. You know, that's the plan. I haven't traded Tesla in a very long time. I don't plan on trading Tesla in a very long time. I like the stocks that I trade. I understand the stocks that I trade. So that's why I trade them. Enjoy the limit down. All right, Warren, we'll see. I don't think we're going to live it down, but hey, whatever. I'll be here for it. Hey, Coffee. Thanks for joining us. Hopefully you enjoyed the stream. I do this every Sunday night. Usually I start around 10 Eastern. This was a little bit later, but I usually go for an hour, maybe a little longer, depending on if we're having a good time or not, if there's a lot to talk about. And we'll go from there. Thank you guys. Have a great night. What song you want? The last song was called Die in the Disco by Nightclub, if you like that song. I'll be on there, Rich. We'll be trading live tomorrow. We're going to make some money, so. I do have to take my car in to get the tire fixed, so. Adam, I think crypto's going down, yes. I don't have any money. I think I have like maybe I have $1,000 in crypto right now, so I don't have a lot of faith in it right now. I think there's too much fear, uncertainty, and doubt going around crypto for it to go up. There's not that oomph that you're looking for anymore. But there is a Bitcoin chart on my Twitter. Tamikaze1 is my Twitter. If you want, I can link that chart for you. If you just want a direct link, I'll throw my Bitcoin chart. So I did put 2 different paths in there. Here's the Twitter link for my Bitcoin chart. You can get it yourself and check it out. But I put 2 different scenarios in there. I covered it earlier. Basically, it's either going to go through an accumulation phase here in reverse, or it's going to go through a markdown phase where we have basically a waterfall of selling and people trying to get out of it. So we'll see. I'm more of on the red path kind of guy, but I'm here for both. So I'll let the price action dictate how I play it. I'm not going to just play something because that's what I believe. You have to play what the price action gives you. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.